Hi, welcome to Charlotte's Cooking Show. I'm Charlotte. Today I'm making one of my fancy dinners. It's from one of my favorite cookbooks called The Best of Chef at Home with Michael Smith. He owns the Inn at Bay Fortune on PEI, and I would love to go stay there. This recipe is so great. It has salmon, it has shellfish like mussels in it, and it's really, really delicious. You're going to love it. So I've made this recipe so many times. The book is kind of broken. It's dirty. I've got tabs all over it, but this is a really great recipe. We're gonna get started with the mussels. We're going to steam them in our big pot here first. And this is the broth that we're making for the bottom underneath the salmon. The very first thing you have to do with fresh mussels is you have to take a look, you have to wash them in cold water, and then you have to see what you're working with here. So we're looking for any shells that aren't open, and we're going to push them closed, and if they close back up, that means that they're still fresh. And if they don't and they stay open, it means that it's time to throw that one away. Let's see if we can find one that is still open. Okay, so this guy's still open. Let's give him a squeeze closed, and let's see if he closes back up. Okay. This one is not closing, so we're going to discard this one. But the rest of them I've all looked through, they're all clean and they're all tightly closed. That means they're fresh. Our next ingredient calls for a big splash of white wine. And you know, with all ingredients, it's important to taste test them first to make sure they're good quality products. So just, you know, that's good, that's good. It's gonna be good. Our next ingredient is a big splash of heavy whipping cream. So this is 35%, and another big splash, just kind of free pour in here. All we're doing is steaming the mussels. So we're not putting a ton of liquid on the bottom. We want the steam to rise, and that's what causes the shells to open, and they cook, and they only take about 5 minutes. Our final ingredient is basil pesto. You can buy the stuff in the store, or you can make your own if you have fresh basil plants. It's really, really easy. There's all kinds of great recipes for fresh basil pesto. But we're gonna add this to our sauce here, and this is what's going to make that really creamy, delicious broth under the salmon. So I've got this jar of pre-made pesto, which is delicious, and I'm just going to kind of heap in 2 great big tablespoons. Then we're gonna stir it all up and steam the mussels. So the mussels are steaming behind us. They're almost done. And now I'm going to finish preparing the 4th salmon fillet here. They came with skins on the back. You can have your fishmonger remove them for you, or if you have a paring knife like this, a nice sharp one, you can remove the skin yourself. So all you're doing is you're running the blade underneath the skin, and you're just kind of slowly, just little slices to remove that skin. You don't want to lose any of the meat either. So we have to have all our sides available for the cornmeal that's going to go around the crust, and then we're going to fry it in some oil. And so we need to have the skin taken off. Very easy, and we're almost done. So to make a really great cornmeal crust, you have to find a fine cornmeal and use about a cup, cup and a half. We've got some large fillets here. So you're going to put it in a tray, and it has to be fine because we want to make sure that it adheres to the salmon and creates a great crust. We've got some cornmeal there. I'm gonna add some nice healthy pinch of kosher salt, so that's probably about a teaspoon, and a teaspoon of fresh ground pepper. We're going to mix that up, and then we're going to just coat our salmon fillets in the cornmeal, and then we're gonna fry it in vegetable oil. Okay, our 4 fillets are all set. They've got a nice cornmeal crust on them like we did, and we're ready to put them in our frying pan. We have about a cup of vegetable oil. It's a lot of oil, but it's good because we want to have a really good, consistent crust, and the oil will do that. Lots of it. Here we go. Okay, our mussels are done. Our salmon is cooking away. Oh, it smells so good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the mussels, and we're just gonna put them to the side in a big bowl like this, because we really want the broth. That's gonna be what's at the bottom of our salmon. And you can see the shells have opened right up and the beautiful, delicious mussel meat is in there. Okay, so now we get to work at pulling out the mussels, and I have a great little tip that lots of Maritimers already know. You pull the shell open, you pull the mussel out, and just kind of throw that in the pot and keep that to the side. And then you use the shell itself to get the next one. Just pull it open, use the end of the shell, use your fingers to close it like this, and you just pop it along there, drop it into the bowl. And then when you're done, to be classy, you put them all in a row, the shells, as they're done. You know, stay clean. Okay, our salmon is done. Our mussel broth is done. We've got all our mussels out of the shell, and now it's time to build this meal. So all it is, I serve it in a bowl. You can think about what you would like to serve with it. If you wanted to have polenta underneath, or a potato, or some kind of like an orzo pasta or something like that, or you can serve it just as a seafood dish on its own. So I've got lots of mussels and beautiful green pesto broth here, and we're going to create this beautiful bed for our salmon, and then our dish will be ready, and of course I'll garnish it with some fresh basil. So we've got a nice hearty bed here, lots of mussels to share. We've got 4 fillets here, and now what we're going to do is we're going to put our beautiful salmon on top like this, and then we're going to take some fresh basil leaves. If you have some in your house on a plant, or if you keep some in your garden, just pull a few off. And like we've done lots of times before, you just lay them on top of each other, roll them right up. Oh, you can smell the fresh basil already. And you love this beautiful garnish. And of course, on top of the salmon and the mussels, you're gonna add this fresh basil, and it's gonna give that great last hit. And it's gonna be so good to eat. All right, everything's done. This would be so great with a side piece of crusty bread to soak up all this delicious broth. I've got some fresh basil and some cracked black pepper on top. So now it's time to dig in. This is our cornmeal crusted salmon with basil mussel broth. It's a Michael Smith recipe. It's one of my favorites. You should give it a try. Oh my gosh, it's really good.